point on of contact after the thing ends tomorrow. Mainly because this was not planned, the transformation thing, but it has turned to be a hit. I just remember thinking I want to have something that I'm looking forward to do. And it was like, where would we get even the resources to do it? And I remember thinking, we have been with people for 9 months. If they want this, they'll figure it out. It was not part of the program. Now it is just listening to you, your things have been so clear, straight to the point. I think this is the first time nobody questions, should we have the transformational plan? And actually, this one has started, Fish has started doing stuff. And it was like, wait. I didn't say that I was quiet because I'm not the coach. They have done all the consultations with the groups and gone into a lot of whatever. They're ahead of the game, and they thought they didn't say. But I sit there and I listen to these things.
Yeah.
So I don't think, I'm still trying to organize, like after, what happens after, and whether we should have a group of all of us, the EDs, to start talking. Because if you don't push this ahead, it's not happening.
True.
I have no illusion at all about the way forward for me. You know, and I want to say you are also the first ones I approach to ask you directly, do you want this? And then where do you want to go? You know, so it's not a requirement for the year that there is money from Echidna. You do have to give me a report, and then I ask something 6 months, and some people are in touch, others are not. And I am also really trying to find a way how we can really directly link this with what Echidna is giving organization or whatever, because it would really strengthen the organizations. So let me stop, and I wanted you to respond a little bit, whether you found each other or not, and then what is the process been? How are you feeling? Was it worthwhile, or do you really, and any feedback is feedback, and maybe you can say at the end what kind of, where should we go from here? Because now you are my team. Not by choice maybe, but I have worked with some of you for a long time, so it's no, you can't run away from me. Kimanya wants a break, but they are not getting one.
They're not asking for a break.
So just feel free to share about what's going on, how you're feeling in the program. How the last especially 6 months have gone.
Let me
you
start.
Discovered the 3s and the 2s and the 1s and the 5s. We have everybody here.
So let me just start with how were the 6 months were. For my end, I would say, just like the way I initially said in the morning, this program came timely because in my organization there was a transition in terms of leadership. The rest of the previous management left. I was the only one left, so I did the recruitment. So having the 3, this leadership coaching, it means a lot to me. It means growing together as a senior management team. So it was, instead of me struggling to coach, orient them on leadership ABCD, there was already a program which was in place for them to go through it. So it has been very useful for me working with them because they understand the key basic issue that they need to do and the kind of support and the teamwork that we need to work as a team. So for me, I would say this was a golden time for Telmet management team. But also I see changes. You can see a person can listen, can focus. It's like, okay, I think you're making some points that I was not seeing from that angle. You know, when you take 6 and 9 and you position them into different positions, you can see them differently. So at some point I'll ask them, can you please come on this side? Do you still see it as 6 or 9? Then in terms of viewing things in a wider perspective, I've also seen those changes among my team. And there are some places that we'll go together, we'll say today, I'm not talking anything. You'll take the lead. And they're like, you are just like, yes, you're taking the lead. So I would see them taking over. I would see them presenting, and in a manner that it really represents the organization the way I want. And if there were some few gaps, we'll just sit later and talk about its correction and amendments. So generally, I would say there have been changes. I know that we have been very busy, but for the time that we have been engaged in different coaching sessions, and one of them is having a diary from day one. She has documented everything on it. When I ask about, for example, engagement of stakeholders, she said, yeah, it's in this page of my journal diary. So she have really taken it serious and embraced the learning. So we just want to appreciate, for us, it has been very useful to grow as a team.
Mm. Wow. Yeah. So for me, when I look last year, when I met you for the first time, I was in the middle of each directory was working independently. We have the same mission, but each directorate and the leaders were working separately. And then the ED role was very new. So how do we bring them together? So I will say this session came at the right time because that was the discussion we're speaking. One, how do we merge both directorates? How do we work as one? But also, how do we remove the idea of ED is the leader, is the one owning the organization? Rather, we have the responsibility for our organization. So when we started communicating about the coaching, we started being very intentional that we'll meet with our coach, but we'll have at least twice a month meeting intentionally, discussing the coaching, but also talking about ourselves. So throughout, from is it April that we started that session to this date when we're coming, we were able to sit together. Nobody missed, and if they missed, they'll say, I'll do online, no problem, just keep me on the phone online, I will participate. And I think that started making us, actually me, being accepting the vulnerability, the openness of saying, this is what I feel, this is what my intention for the organization. Kindly work with me, kindly support me on this, because I'm not alone. So I was able to talk with a team. But more importantly, before we came in for this celebration session, we asked ourselves, do even the team feel it? Are the rest of our team feeling it? And people said, you know what, let's just run a survey. Have a feedback together and ask all of us, 5 of us, seeing the feedbacks, read together, but also give each other honest feedback that is very constructive and a commitment to work with you after this session. So we have read the feedback together, give each other feedback, and say, okay, which ones in your personal development goal are you picking? We are committing, 5 of us, to work with you, support you, even after the session is ending. So that is the level of commitment we have. And we went as far as saying, you know what, after here, we're not going to remove our sessions of meeting and interacting. So that is what we're doing. But from me, personally, it has changed me in, I used to be very strict, very direct, and, being a person, oh, this doesn't work like that, I want my way to do work like that. So being able to pull myself out and say, fanyeni kwanza. Do you, because I have to trust you. And with that trust comes accountability. There is a part of saying, yesterday we were saying about as much as we give you, we delegate, there's accountability. And that starts sinking into people that the minute it's given to you, you have to deliver. So we are looking at it in working on the feedbacks. And right now my team is saying, Ananda, we want to see you more in the program, engage more with the team. The juniors are saying, we hear you, you hear us, we want to sit with you. So I take that as something that I really want to work with it. Not the directors or managers, but the junior people who go to school directly and really work with them. So it was quite an interesting journey. Sharing my emotion was never part of me. Hapana. Used to be so scary. So having that and seeing the impact of sharing what emotions I'm going and how people connect with that. So as much as it was scary, but I think I've made a huge progress in that.
Awesome, great.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Well, comes to our case here. Money is a bit quiet. Having a team of more than 45 people, I think it's a bit cumbersome to sort of manage and coordinate. And due to the fact that we are not all seated in one office, we have different offices in different regions. And I remember when we started the conversation with Joyce, at the beginning she was asking the EDs and the assistant maybe they can be engaged into the program, but we pushed hard that our case it's a bit different. We need more people to be engaged, and finally we got 7 of us into the program. And when we joined the collectivizing and learning about the Enneagram, at the beginning we were thinking on it would be a usual training sort of, but then we came to realize it's not the case, but it's really a genuinely transformative program that really help us to sort of lead with purpose and create impact in what we are doing. So when we started learning about the Enneagram, it really supported the entire team to not being familiar to one another, but also to realizing what are our blind spots and how we can start leading with more empathy rather than giving directives and relying on policies. Because when you have a diverse team, it's really difficult to balance the policy issues and the empathy side at a personal level. But things are now building out of it, and I can see people are communicating more assertively, delegating often, and supporting each other, sharing the skills among the team members, things that never happened before. And before it was easy to see that silos are emerging within the team, but now the team is becoming one thing. With the program, I really recommend that it's something that we really needed it, and honestly it become on time for our team. And as Dr. Joyce was sharing here previously on the change of the name from the collectivizing to Rising Leaders Center, then I have a sense of like we need also to groom some of our fellow who are not here in the ED position, because we will be transitioning at some time. Then we need others to be coming. Then for us, it has been a real anchor and support that come timely. The issue is now how are we going to sort of embrace and own it internally, as well as into other fellow organizations. I think Martha and and are quite aware on our case in Tanzania. We have more than 9,000 registered NGOs at the country level. So you can imagine, and most of them are struggling with similar issues on leadership, skills building, capacity, things like that. I think this is something that we envy, and we need to see how we carry it forward. Thank you very much. And the 6 months journey, it has been like a week for us. I was telling Salah, we have a feeling like when we were discussing on the completion with our coach, we have a feeling like it's like, oh, it is starting. We are at the end, but for us, we are feeling like the beginning. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I have watched the flower bud.
Sure.
Thank you.
So if I may accommodate those of you now in the last.
Oh, we have one way there. Thank you very much once again, and I really want to say thank you, the fellow EDs. I think to some great extent, since the first we met, we tried to link up and meet and discuss what we are facing in our different organization. For me, the program has really brought some kind of self-awareness about myself. I am a type 2, and the characteristics that the type 2 have, we are very sympathetic people, but also it's very difficult to confront a difficult conversation. And that was actually me. I think Joyce can bear me witness. In several occasions we have interacted. So those are some of the characteristics, and also saying no is very difficult for us. But throughout the program, I have learned and I've built some kind of muscles, specifically to say no to a lot of things within the organization. But also balancing my work with my personal life, I have improved a lot. Right now, I can step back and let the team run. Before, I was thinking a lot around if I leave people, what will be the output of what they're doing? Will it affect our mission as organization? What will they be saying when they're meeting other stakeholders? So it was a question that was in my mind a lot. But after going through the program and listening from different experiences, I've noticed that I think that is, if you provide delegations, you give people time to learn. Because it is only, you can only learn when there's a mistake. So right now I feel I am a little bit relieved from the stress that I had. I have now built some kind of more muscles in terms of doing self-awareness, like self-practices, like self-care. So I can have that. Still struggling a little bit because the conflict of my inner self of saying no to people, what will people think? Sometimes it comes in still, because sometimes the expectations that you have for the team is not met. And then you think that, can I leave this person go? Or what should I do with this? Because the policy is also happening. So sometimes those conflict comes, but when I get back to the lessons and experience I've had through the coaching program, I relax, and then I let it plays. The other thing, which was a very big challenge, and I've shared with our coach, is about balancing empathy and accountability. I'm a very empathetic person, and sometimes it compromises the team performing their roles. Because with the context where I'm coming from a community, very rural place. There's a lot of social events that happens. I was sharing with Dennis and Denisono that sometimes a staff come and say, my father is sick, I need to go and attend. Or my nephew is sick, I need to go and attend. So making the decision that, okay, the person need to go, but what will happen to the work? Because sometimes they go and stay for 2-3 days, and yet there's a task that they are supposed to deliver because of social kind of, being within the community. But through the coaching program, and I've shared with my coach, is that
how do I balance the empathy with accountability, making people responsible about what they're supposed to do? And actually, Joseph also gave me a very good thinking that sometimes if you're conflicting in the heart about the making decisions, you create a management team. And when someone comes with such kind of decisions, you throw them to the team so that any decision that will come is not about one person, but it's a management system, decisions, so they can follow up. So I think those are now things that are playing very well and wanting to continue strengthening some of those practices as well. The other thing which actually now played very well is how do you bring team together, because there's a lot of, when people are working together, there's a lot of rumor mongering sometimes. You find people are speaking, but how do you bridge that gap so that you can work together as a team? So we have developed some practices, like some practices within the organizations, having the gratitude messages like every week. Can you come and talk about what you have learned, what you love about your colleague, so that at least you can try to reduce the negativity that the team have among themselves. Because if you give people opportunity to say what is good, what they like about you this week, so even if they had some negative thoughts, they will start looking for the good thing they have done, so that at least now they can be able to get relationship. And then other practices like every meeting we have, we put self-care, where after the meeting we go outside, play together, and have fun, so that now the team can be more closely together. And then the other aspect for us to improve the capacity of the team is that we have brought something called learning cafes, where we identify topics, these topics related to the challenges that the organization is facing. So we assign those topics to individuals, the staff, so that now they go and research about it and come and facilitate. So during the facilitation, the team provide the feedback, how they performed in terms of the content, in terms of their confidence. So that's, again, give them opportunity to go and look for more information to come and facilitate, because they want to be the best. So those are the kind of practices we have brought in place to help the team move forward, so that the capacity is improved and is not only relying on the leader, like on the executive director. So that has really helped us to move forward. So I think those are a few things I just wanted to share briefly for now. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Thank you.
So, when Joyce, I can't say first because I think you talked to me during cohort 2, but when you
Yes, there
more
was
recently came to Kimania to talk about this opportunity, we had a fairly new leadership team. For many years, the organization, I was sharing with colleagues that for many years I was responsible for the majority of tasks within the organization. And I would say that I don't think various things. But then as we brought the team, this new team together, I think the thing that I was hopeful that this program could assist us with is to see how each individual member of our leadership team also kind of would evaluate themselves and see how they could grow in the various qualities and characteristics of leaders, and also to help us kind of articulate and better unpack the culture that we were creating and maintaining within the organization. So I think for us, one of the strengths of this experience has been the fact that this idea of leadership has been on the forefront of our minds for the past 6 months, which is, typically we are doing things, we are trying to establish certain practices and policies, and we had an implicit understanding of the culture that we wanted to maintain. But I think if it were not for the structure and regularity of this Leadership Institute experience, we would not have thought so much about the role that leadership and our team was playing, and how we could be more conscious about certain actions and decisions and how they're contributing to our bigger goals. So I think it was very beneficial, beginning with the Enneagram exercise, because that exercise first began, I think, pushing people to be more self-aware. And, I mentioned in our coaching session last night that as an individual, I was always aware of the importance of self-awareness. And I was conscious of the ways in which I was aware of myself and how, I perceived myself, how I felt others perceived my actions, etc. And it was constantly in a process of self, assessment and whatnot. But I think that what I had not gone so far as to do with my peers was to kind of push them to engage in the same practice, and then push all of us to openly discuss, our own internal kind of processes. And so one of the things I shared yesterday in our space was that I felt that one of the benefits of the Enneagram exercise with your colleagues, or with my colleagues, was that we kind of externalized these internal conversations and self-reflection that we all had going on. And from my colleagues, it was interesting to hear how for many of them, they had some, general awareness of their tendencies, but initially they were initially they were kind of, some of them were skeptical of the assessment and the type of person they were portrayed as. But because of the fact that it was brought to their attention, as they were performing their tasks during the course of the year, they would say, maybe I am like the thing that I was described as. And it made them to be more thoughtful about how they would interact then with others, and how they think others might perceive their actions. So for example, we had some 6s who discovered that their tendency is to ask a lot of questions, which to them is very logical, part of understanding. And so they didn't think that they asked very many questions. Then they come to discover when they're in a space with someone that, I'm actually asking a lot. And then this perspective that maybe the people, depending on, the power dynamics in the conversation, the people you're talking to might perceive it as you questioning them, when for you it's just a matter of clarifying for your own understanding. So we're able, because of this this whole process, this program, to then come up with like reflections and strategies and share our own experiences. So one of the things I was sharing with a colleague is that I found that knowing some of my tendencies, what I have done in the past is that I will often try and communicate those up front, so that it prepares you and you are able to then interpret my behavior or actions in a way that's maybe less concerning or threatening. So in my case, being a 5, although I call myself a 4.5, but having those 5 tendencies, I enjoy my independence and being apart. And so I would tell people that, you can always come to me, because I know that my tendency is going to be to go sit on my own, to be in my own space, and I use that space to, to process and think. But it doesn't mean that you can't come to me. So I've always tried to create that awareness, so that people don't see a closed door as you don't go to the closed door. They see it as, okay, Joseph is there, but I'll knock and see if he's free, and then he won't mind because he's demonstrated that tendency in the past. So for this person, I was telling them that one thing you can think of is that before you go into that process of asking questions, you can explain that, I'm someone who asks a lot of questions. It helps me to understand, but don't interpret it as me questioning you. And they found that that could be actually quite helpful for setting the understanding at the very beginning about, who I am, how I work, and what I'm trying to achieve in this exercise. So I think that, for us, the two things that really I think have stood out to me as some of the more valuable takeaways from this experience is the fact that we have kept the conversations about leadership and effective leadership and how we approach our work at the forefront of our minds, and that's led us to analyze and appreciate the positive things that we are doing and the areas we can grow. But on the other hand, it's an appreciation for the fact that the team has been able to develop an increased sense of self-awareness, which I think in turn is also helping them to work together with their peers more effectively.
Do you remember the Enneagram where it groups the organization and say, basing on the individual observation, this is, for example, Lamy was emotions, that they need to work on the emotion.
Oh, okay. You just follow up with me. I know there's somewhere.
Yes. So that one was a very big hit for us to really understand where do we need to put our investment on. And we realize it's not only for the beneficiary, from within to the beneficiaries. And that is something that really struck us and said, okay, so if we are in our heads and then action, but then the heart is not there, then we are not really grounded. So that was something that we keep on working on it.
Maybe I can just add one thing. I think also this program has given us a space to talk as EDs. Learning from each other has also been a very good input. We had some chats and we discussed and we learned from each other. For instance, there are some learnings I've just observed from Joseph in terms of, my organization has gone through a major transition in terms of staffing, leadership. So sometimes I could accommodate everyone and a lot of tasks at the same time. I'm type 3, so issues of performance for me, that is my priority. But I had limited time for myself, time to relax. My well-being was being compromised with the task. So learning from him on his background, where he came from, on different transition in terms of leadership, management, and stuff like that. It has really,
a major one.
yeah, he was telling me about it. So it was,
since the beginning.
so it was good to hear from him, and also learning some techniques they have employed, so that I could also apply, because my health and well-being also matters to me, or my space for my time also, my family also matter to me. So creating a space for myself, and you reach a time where you say, this is enough for today, I'll see you guys tomorrow. So those are the things that I've been learning from him, and also the issues around bringing the team together, uniting the new staff and the old staff, creating a single team that works together based on different personality and complementing each other based on their dynamics. I think that is also a good stuff that I'm learning from the fellow EDs. So this program goes beyond the actual coaching during the session. It also gives a room to learn from fellow colleagues of the same caliber and learn from the challenges they have encountered, the progress, the lessons, and you also adapt based on your environment. I think to me that's a very good thing.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think just briefly, I wanted to just briefly add to that. Having been with Emmy among the founding members of CRLI, we have had this wonderful opportunity to work with other organizations for many years. But these types of conversations were never there. And I think it's a wonderful new opportunity to be able to connect with those in other organizations about these very important questions of the culture of an organization, and the way that you lead is more than just what are the programs you're doing and the impact you're trying to create. They're very interconnected, but I feel like this is a valuable space for organizations, for us to connect around, as opposed to always just these conversations about the impact of our work, alone. So, I second what Martha was sharing.
Let us give Wangui a chance to say something. Are you there, Wangui? Yeah, I heard. Can you hear me, Wangui? Yeah, okay.
There's something in the chat.
I can see her here. Do you want to share, Wangui? Excuse me, guys. We can't hear her.
She's muted. She's muted.
You are muted, madam. I don't know what that.
There's something in the chat box. What is she wrote?
She's right
Okay.
here.
This has been since morning, eh?
Oh, okay.
But let's check. Yeah, no, it's stuff before. Okay. Wangui, can you hear? Okay. So let's Danson, let's figure out how we can get her. One, of course, of the objectives at the beginning was to meet 2 or 3 times before this meeting. And I can just tell you, the thing has been spinning faster than life. So I didn't forget you. It's just that I didn't know where I could possibly, meet. But I think the last group had also the EBCs as separate team. And one of the things that I had dreamt about was that we could have just meet once a month or meet once every 6 weeks, see how it's going, blah, 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 blah. And that, of course, I'm only one person, and so it didn't happen. And then the people are just so extremely busy. So I'm not the only one who is than me. I just hope that if somebody has a problem, they will just come and say they are stuck here, they are stuck here. And some of the coaches had some extra time to do this. So I think it would be important as we conclude the pilot, what do you need? And is there any way that collective rising can support? Is there a way we can support you or support you to support each other? I don't know. Because I've been thinking about it. But the intention was there from day one. Maybe for the first year it did not happen. But second year it happened, I think once or twice.
So I think one thing I can share based on our experience is we also, I think in practice, struggled to get together these past months. Sono did his level best to get us to meet, created a platform for us, asking us when we can get together. People are volunteering, but then when the time comes, we get distracted. So I don't know if it's the physical presence or just the very act of an external entity who we respect asking us to show up, and then we make time, can sometimes be a bit more of a motivation than just ourselves, like, can we find time? We'll all say we can't find time. But if maybe the center was to say, hey, we are going to do a conversation this day, then no one wants to disappoint Joyce that we will show up for that day. And even if you're like, I'm also not here, but now you take the time and have a conversation, I think sometimes that external motivation is more effective than, because we'll tell ourselves that we are very busy, we can't find the time. So I do think there's a benefit for myself personally to having these conversations, or at least even having a platform where we can talk to each other. But if there was some way in which the center itself was asking us, maybe we would feel a little more motivation to partake. But monthly, maybe no, but maybe a couple of times a year or something like that.
Because, okay, sorry.
No, I just wanted to supplement on what Joseph said. I think the center would create some kind of calendars for the EDs to meet. We can say like after 2 months or 3 months where we can meet and it's already in the calendar. It can be this particular cohort or even all the cohorts combined together. But I feel that maybe even once a year, I know right now the center has already a number of EDs, but we could figure out through the center where the EDs can meet physically to talk about some of the issues that are affecting. But virtually would be preferred one first, but if there's opportunity, that could also be created to bring some kind of sense of connection.
The other thing is we take ownership, like really,
Yeah.
and you say you make this a part of your leadership meetings, that you're not just talking about managing really, you're talking about these topics.
Exactly.
That's another thing that we own it
Integrated
ourselves.
into the really activities.
Yeah,
right?
because we have this, the framework, we have the space, it's just that we have to create the topic, the conversation
Sure.
should deal with that subject.
If you could even just develop a list of some things you want to hear about. I don't have to be the one speaking. I can find somebody else and we can still. Because really, from now you are the only connection. You know I'm going to one. I'm under so much pressure. I can't breathe. And of course with time I won't be coming as often as I am coming. So there will be the online thing going. But we can also organize some stuff that you want to talk about. Then I know. Because sometimes I'm also not sure how much to push. Because people are busy. I feel busy because I'm so busy myself. But we can organize just something once in a while and do that. Whatever you think will be useful. But so maybe from this thing is just call a class meeting in 2 months or something.
Yeah, yeah.
And then by that time you have to come up with something that you want to talk about. Sure that you don't need necessarily me, but we can. I don't mind calling.
Yeah, but
And we
also,
can actually call all EDs from cohort 1 to
All the EDs.
because you are the one who are using this thing. This thing is not going to happen without you.
yes, but also Joyce and the team, I'm also thinking that after having a major, maybe we can also, during the call, we can also have a breakout and have people talk to their buddies. For instance, me and Joseph will continue to talk whether he's available or not available. He has to create a space for me because there are some things based on what he went through, like what I've been going through. He can give me some of the key strategies and how to come out of it easily. So in a way, Joseph will still have to be available for me. Yeah, I don't know how rising leaders are going to work out on it, but Joseph will have to be available for me because he went through a process that I'm also going through.
Well, thank you very much.
Wind up.
And wind down. Oh, thank you guys. I will call something.
Okay.
It's a fire.
Will you just stay here while we do reflections?
Yeah, we just stay here.